Hello, fellow BMW enthusiasts and other people that have headlights. Today what we're going to do is we are going to fix cloudy headlight lenses. Might be kind of hard to tell with the glare, but these headlight lenses are quite cloudy and foggy from their almost 300,000 miles of use. Now this is a 2000 BMW 740. But this will work on any car that has plastic headlight lenses. As you can see, it's real cloudy here. In factory, it's clear up here. What we're going to do is we're going to restore this to factory-like new condition. There's a lot of other things you can do. There's different posts about using bug spray, and that will work and give you immediate results, but they don't last. The bug spray, the WD-40, turns your headlight lenses into, they get sticky. And after a month or so, well, you're right back to square one, and then they're in worse shape. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to sand these, and then we're going to clear coat them. Now, I have chosen to do this on the vehicle. There's a trim panel right here that pops off just by giving upward pressure. It clips on here. This pops off, and then you can slide it out. There's a clip here and here. This panel slides right out. I've already got both of them off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape right around here. I'm going to tape this completely off, because what we're going to do is we're going to sand, and I don't want to scratch any of the surface of the car or any of the weather stripping around here. So I'll get a start on that, and we'll check in a minute. Okay. What we've got done here is I have taped around the headlight, just leaving the plastic exposed. You want to cover up all paint, all of the plastic you don't want to touch, that you don't want to get with clear coat. You want to keep all of this off the finish of your car. Well, I did the same over here, but what I did is I ran newspaper back, and this will stop overspray from catching on the vehicle. We'll set our camera down, and I'll keep going as we tape this up. Now what I've got is I just took regular newspaper and I lined a piece of tape along it. I'll lay it along the tape that I already have on and tape it on. Take another piece, do the same thing. Want to go all the way around and protect any of the exposed paint. You can take a little tab of tape and tape these down, so when you spray, they're not going to flop around, they're not going to flutter. Take another piece of paper and mask off all the way around the lights. Now, you can remove the headlight from the car and do this process. The time spent removing the headlights is roughly the same. It's probably a little bit quicker. I prefer to show this way. Either way is just as effective. It's a matter of personal preference. Sometimes headlights are hard to remove as an assembly, so this makes it a little bit more efficient for you. Either way works. Oh, and I forgot the Craigslist trick. You gotta cover the license plate with your thumb. Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry. Once you get your first layer of paper down, go ahead and lay down a second layer. Then any overspray that comes off the headlight isn't gonna get onto your vehicle. Now what we'll do, we're going to start the sanding process. What I have here is just water, regular water. And we're going to start out with 400 grit wet or dry sandpaper. That can go right in the water. You want it to be wet. That lubricates the sandpaper as you sand. Now what we're going to do, we start off with the 400. You do not want to apply a lot of pressure. If you apply a lot of pressure, you're going to leave sand marks. It's going to make it more work getting them out later. Always make sure that your headlight stays nice and wet while you're sanding. While you're sanding, the headlight will instantly start to be clear. Now when you sand, here's a trick. I'm going to get a smaller piece here. When you sand, try to sand in a circular motion, not like what I was doing before, side to side. You're going to do this for both headlights. What this is doing right here is this is removing all of the pits and major imperfections. Like I said, this is very coarse for what we're trying to do. And when this dries off, this will actually be more cloudy than what we started with. You won't be able to see the projector through the headlight lens, or the headlight through the lens. You're going to want to sand off all of the imperfections. This is your main sanding layer. Like I said, keep it wet, and you're going to see the water turn cloudy. That's actually small pieces of the headlight plastic being washed away by the water. You probably can't see in the video, but there's still a good amount of chips in there, or a good amount of stone chips and nicks. So what I'll do is I'll keep sanding with my 400 grit, and then we'll come back to the video and we'll see how it's coming along. Okay, and we're back. I'm done 400 over here. I jumped ahead to this headlight, and I did all of the steps over here. And this is what it's going to look like when you're done sanding. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, Crazy Bri, what did you do to me? This looks worse than when I started. Not to worry. But how did we get to that point? Now I have sanded this down with 400 grit. And as you can see, it's completely clouded over. You can barely see inside the light. If you look in here, this used to be all pitted, and there was chips and hazing, and it was just wrecked. The 400 grit removes that. Now we're going to come along with 600 grit, and we're going to do the same thing. The only thing the 600 grit does is removes the sanding scratches from the 400. So what we'll do, since I tore a piece of paper off already, I want to show you something. Remember when I told you when you're sanding, you want to sand in a circular motion. Always sand in a circular motion until you're done. Then you're going to want to sand in a horizontal motion. What that does is that gives the paint something to adhere to when we clear coat them later. I'll show you this. If I take water and run it across here, look how the water refuses to fall down. Now obviously this is an exaggeration for what paint would be. But if you had too much paint on, you see how the water will follow the lines that you were sanding on. Now what we'll do, the 400 takes the longest. That gets all the pits out and all of the things that cause the haziness or the dull headlights, makes the headlight look poor. All the 400 does is that removes all of that. When you're sanding, you can get done, you can wipe it off with a piece of cloth and you can say, oh, well, there's still something here, and then you can keep going. The 600, all that does is removes the 400 marks. And you say, well, you told me to sand like this when I finished with the 400. Why are you going to the circular motion now? There's the deepest 400 marks will remain. You won't see them. It's not like you're going to have horizontal scratches, but they'll be there. Almost, I don't want to say on a microscopic level, but almost on a microscopic level, the lines will still be there. And each stage you go with 600, then 15, then 2000, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to sand in a circular motion. You don't want to sand horizontal the whole time, because then you'll just have a bunch of horizontal lines. And when you're sanding in circular motion, you can then wipe it down and say, oh, okay, you know, I have a bunch of horizontal lines right here, so I need to go a little bit further. Just naturally, you're going to want to favor one spot in the headlight, and you don't want to do that, because then you're going to have one very clear spot, and then you'll have other spots that you missed. When you think you've got it done, wipe the entire headlight down, and then look at it and say, oh wow, I missed a whole bunch right here, so I'm going to keep going. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I think what we'll do, so you don't have to watch this while I sand, because that's just so exciting, we'll fast forward it a little bit, and then we'll pick up with 1500. Now what we'll do is we'll not block the camera. I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up or not. You're going to want to make sure that you don't have any horizontal lines left, or paper towel. You can see there's a bunch of horizontal lines here. So I'm going to want to keep going on the bottom. I obviously missed down there, but it looks like we've gotten everything else pretty good. So I'll keep sanding down here until we get all of the horizontal lines gone away. Now you can see how cloudy this is. You say, oh boy, what did you get me into? I made it worse than it was. Don't worry, this is how it's supposed to look. If you get something that balls up, it feels like a small pebble in your sandpaper, you'll feel it between the sandpaper and the headlight. Stop and get that out. What that is that's a small piece of plastic, or you picked up another piece of debris somewhere. You don't want that in there, because every time you make a motion with that debris in there, it makes a scratch. You'll see me once in a while pick the sandpaper up and flip something off, or rinse it off, rinse the sandpaper off. And now we look, and all of our horizontal lines are gone. So now, I'm going to make some more horizontal lines. Now you can see I sanded in a circular fashion the entire time, but the water still stays in a horizontal fashion. That's what you want. Now when you sand with the 400 the first time around, that's going to be the most labor intensive. That'll be the longest part, the hardest part of sanding. And don't be tempted and put too much pressure on. When you come up to the 600, and especially the 15 and the 2000, then you can add a little bit more pressure. I mean, then you can start to push on. You don't want to get real carried away, but with the 400, you want really light pressure. Now that we've got a bunch of horizontal lines in there, we can wipe it off. And I don't know if the camera can see or not, but all of the pits are gone, and now all the circular motion lines are gone. Now, I will come back with 1500, which I don't have any over here. Yes, I do. I'll come back with a 1500 wet or dry paper. And we'll do the same thing all over. Circular motion. All the 1500 is doing is getting rid of the 600 marks. I'll just kind of start in a little spot right here so you can get the cliff notes. I don't know if the camera can see, especially with that light not being in the best spot. But this is starting to look a lot clearer rather than this. That's what you want. And you can see there's lots of horizontal lines still in here. So we're going to want to keep going with the 1500. I'm going to continue on with the 1500, and we'll come back after I'm done. Okay. We're done with our 1500. And you go, wow, that light's really clear. Well, just wipe it off. The moisture goes away. You can see it's foggy again. Rich, don't despair. That's what we want. sounds counterproductive, but trust me, this is the point in time when you go, oh, what did I do? Why did I do this? I just wasted an afternoon doing this. Because I listened to some fruitcake on YouTube. We're going to take our 2000, since I'm getting ahead of ourselves, and do the same thing we've been doing. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the 1500 scratching marks, or sanding marks. Just like 4 and 600, you want to keep it nice and wet. And you want to sand in a circular motion. Once you're done, then you'll sand in a horizontal motion. And as you get it wet, you can see that the headlight starts to clear up. And now you can see, I don't know if you can see, but you can see your marks from sanding before. What all you're doing with 2000 is you're getting those marks out. If you still have pits or like where it gets real crazing, you're going to want to go back to your 600 and get rid of that. 2000, 1500 will not get rid of that. This is just for the final polishing of the plastic. Body shops will use 1500, 2000 wet sanding to, sand right before they buff to get rid of a run and a clear coat. So, I mean, this is a very light duty, non-aggressive sandpaper grit. See, a little ball of plastic there. Get rid of that. You can see right where it was making a mark. We'll get rid of that guy. We can fast forward this. You don't need to watch me sand this all. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now for our final steps. We have to eliminate any grease or wax that may have been left by our hands or anything else that may have come in contact with the lights. You can't have anything on the lights that'll stop the paint from adhering to it or the clear coat from adhering to it. This is a wax and grease remover. It's made by Shopline. They sell it at the paint supply stores. Don't fool yourself. It's nothing but rubbing alcohol. Here, smell. It's rubbing alcohol. This will remove any of the grease that's on your hands from the headlight. Anything that'll mess up your finished product, which you do not want. Looks kind of nice with just the wax and grease remover. Maybe we should just leave it like that. No, because as soon as it dries, we'll take a dry cloth now. It'll go back to cloudy. And that cloudy is what we want. Now, while in between videos, I taped up little spots that had come undone. And I replaced my paper down here, taped everything back up. We don't want anything getting on our car's finish. So, what I have here, this is just, I don't know if you can see, this is just automotive clear, mixed up 4-to-1. This is the same stuff that they use for base coat, clear coat for clearing over the base color in a car. This is a Finish Line FLG4 paint gun. The Harbor Freight guns will do just the same job. You can use an aerosol, gloss aerosol that you buy at your local retailer or whatnot. I just like the job that the automotive style paint does, and I feel that it'll last longer, and it just makes a better product. I'm spraying at about 30 psi. I have a 1.5 tip, and all we're going to do is we're going to dust the headlights with clear. And this will be just about what it looks like when it's done. I'm going to come back and I'm going to put another coat of clear on after this dries. I'll let it tack for 10 to 15 minutes and then I'll pull the tape off. As you can see, all the clouding is gone, all the hazing is gone, all of the stone chips are nothing but a memory. I'll finish up with another video after my second coat. Okay. 10 minutes. We've let it tack up. By tacking up means that if you touch an area that's been sprayed, it's still sticky, but it won't stick to your fingers. Obviously you don't want to touch the headlight to test it, but now that it's tacked up, we can spray a second coat. A nice wet coat, and you're finished. And this is what the finished product will look like. And there she is, the finished product. Now, you should always let the clear coat dry before you even remove the paper or you start reassembling things. You put the bottom trim pieces on, because if you don't, that happens. You get careless and you touch it and you leave a fingerprint. So I'll have to redo that headlight, but that's another day project. Now, let it dry and enjoy your like new headlights. I hope this has helped. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching.